1 minute. I can hear me twice. Yeah, I don't know why. Is that one? No, it's
You're off here. Says you're off.
hello?
Hello?
Or is that one?
No, it's off.
That's all.
Huh.
Everything's off. I'm pretty sure this other one's off.
It says it. How about the one on the podium?
That's off.
Everything's off? Keep it like that. You're so... Where'd you go?
Somebody online?
Yeah. If you're online, can you please mute yourself? If not, I have to mute everybody, and I don't want to do that now. I'm going to ask one more time. Can you please mute yourself if you're participating online? I'll do it myself.
Massachusetts were spared such an unthinkable horror, the weekend did not unfold without incident in Hampton County.
WLP right here.
WWLP, can you mute yourself, please?
Yes, can you please, everybody, mute yourself? Thank you. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the Easthampton City Council meeting for Wednesday, July 6th. The meeting tonight is being recorded and broadcast by Easthampton Media on Chatter Channel 193 and live streaming on their YouTube channel. All councilors and participants in these meetings are gathering hybrid. On the executive order by Governor Baker extended to July 15, 2022, which allow us to do so. I remind both the member of the City Council and of the public to remain mute until recognized by the President. Also, for the member of the public, please remove your camera for the duration of this meeting unless you are participating in public speak time or public hearing. Thank you. This meeting is now called to order. Barbara.
Connie Denham. Here. Salem Derby.
Present.
Omar Gomez.
Here.
J.P. Kaczynski. Dave Munier.
Here.
Tom Peak.
Here.
Brad Riley.
Here.
Dan Rist.
Here.
Owen Zara.
Present.
Please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
So this meeting, we're going to start with the swearing of Councilor Munier. Congratulations. And Barbara.
Come on up, please. Stand in front of the podium. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear
I, David Munier, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform all duties
discharge and perform all duties
incumbent upon me
incumbent upon me
as city councilor at large,
as city councilor at large,
according to the best of my knowledge and abilities,
according to the best of my knowledge and abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeable to the rules and regulations
of the Constitution of the United States of America,
of the Constitution of the United States of America,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the city of Easthampton.
and the city of Easthampton.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome, Councilor.
Thank you.
We have to approve some minutes. I will take a motion to approve the minutes from May 18, June 1st, and June 15.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
J.P. Kaczynski.
Aye.
Dave Munier. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
and Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Motion passes. We have now public speak time. Now is the time for the public to participate, to talk to the council. That is no part of the public hearing. You're gonna have 2 minutes to address to the council. And I'm gonna start with the people online first, and then with the people in the room. Is anyone from the community that wanna talk to the council that is online? Daniel? And I'm gonna remind everybody, it's a lot of people here. It's 2 minutes, and we're gonna stay with the 2 minutes.
This is not the public, decided public hearing topic.
Yeah,
Am I
and
ready?
this is, yeah, we're gonna have a public hearing about the city ordinance amendment of the deceptive advertising practice and limited service pregnancy center. Danielle?
I was hoping to speak with regard to the pregnancy service center. Is that
We're gonna have a public hearing at 6:15 about that.
sorry, I will withdraw my hand.
Thank you.
It's a little bit soft. Can you talk louder? Yes, please.
I will try. Anyone from the public that wanna say something to the council? You're gonna have 2 minutes to address to the council that is not related to the public hearing. Seeing none,
Someone raise their hand.
you have to come to the podium and state your name and address. That is not related to the public hearing. I don't see anyone. Communication for elected official boards or committee. Any of the councilors have anything to talk to the council? Councilor Peak.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to thank you and Councilor Riley and a number of members of the public for helping out over last weekend with the Housing Authority's local tenant organization election. It was really great to have everyone come out and help, and I'm very happy that they pulled that off, and I just want to extend my congratulations to the folks who were elected to that newly formed organization's board. So thanks a lot for everyone who helped or ran or voted or what have you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? Seeing none, Mayor's communication. Madam Mayor, you have any?
Good evening, President Gomez and councilors. Welcome to our newest councilor, Dave Munier. I look forward to working with you. The request I have put before City Council follows my executive order from earlier in June that declares that flag poles or anything else in the city on city property is not a forum for the public for free speech. That is an executive order that I put through my office, which of course would expire when I am no longer mayor. I asked this council to consider this topic among themselves and whatever appropriate committee it should be referred to. It's a request, and that's what I put forward today. Mr. President, I have nothing else.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is any councilor have any questions to the mayor? Seeing none. Councilor Sarek?
Mayor, I'm assuming this is because of the recent court decision about flagpoles and expression.
In the city of Boston, around municipal property and defining what is a public venue and how to decide that. I will note for the council and the public that the ordinances that have withstood legal challenge put that definition and also approval into city council's hands and not the mayor's, which is how the city has done it. There's a request on the website that you request or email, or a counselor would come to mayor's office and say, hey, let's do this. So it's not only defining what should or should not be hung that would allow the public to use it as free speech, it also shifts to the legislative body for a thorough conversation and more of public transparency than we currently do now.
They would answer it?
Yeah, have we had any legal opinions so far about the language around this, or
Could you repeat? I'm sorry.
I'm assuming that what you just said, Mayor, that you feel comfortable. Have you received legal opinion as to how to craft the language around this so that we're safe as a city, being able to create an ordinance around this?
I've looked at other policies, but I found the Supreme Court of Massachusetts language very clear, and did not propose ordinance language to the council, putting it, on your decision. I didn't feel like it was appropriate. There are a couple of examples that have withstood lawsuits other than Boston, and they were used by the Supreme Court in Massachusetts to come up with theirs. But I'm happy to provide, if you so choose, to send it to committee and attend that committee and just kind of walk through what we did with what happened in Massachusetts out in the city of Boston.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And for the record, we have it as a new business, and at the end of the meeting where we're gonna start talking about the new business, we're gonna recommend it to send it to a committee to start working on it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's see, something media. We still have a couple minutes before the public hearing. Yep, that's what I'm gonna do now. So we have correspondence announcement from the president and the vice president. Vice President, do you have anything for this meeting?
No, thank you, Mr. President.
So I do have an announcement. It's about the committees. With the resignation of Councilor Rothschild, we have to move a few councilors to different committees. After a few conversations, we're going to move Councilor Riley from Public Safety. Now, Councilor Riley is going to be serving in appointments and ordinance, and Councilor Munier is going to be in Public Safety and appointments. For the information, Public Safety, Councilor Munier met the first Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. And Public Safety, an appointment is going to be the Wednesday when the full council is not having a meeting. And it's going to be at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Then we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we can decide.
And we have to reorganize the committees with the new chairperson and the clerk. I don't have anything else to add. We have 3 more minutes. Let's go to Finance. Councilor Rist.
Yes, Mr. President, I have one item. I'm going to read my opinion with regard to Chapter 329, Acts of 1987. I'm going to make a motion to remove it from Finance for the following reasons. Having read the thorough and compelling opinion of the city attorney, it is quite clear to me that in order to adopt this chapter, we must first change the charter so it is compatible with the act. His opinion in summary is, and I quote, "This shift of significant budgeting and spending power from the mayor to the council is in direct conflict with Section 4.3 of the charter." Also, he states, if the competing statutes cannot be harmonized and the conflict is between the provision of a home rule charter and a subsequently adopted statute, courts have held that the home rule provision must prevail. He concludes, because of this direct conflict, the fact that the city must voluntarily adopt the statute for it to become operative, and the primacy of the charter, any conflict between the statute and the charter must be resolved in favor of the charter. If the city seeks to adopt the statute, it must first and concurrently amend the charter to avoid this direct conflict. Absent such an amendment, even if the amendment were adopted, the charter's provisions would prevail. Thus, the city attorney is very clear and his opinion seems bulletproof to me, and if the council were to adopt it now, we would be in violation or in conflict of our charter, leading to a potential legal action by the mayor. The city council and the mayor had a court fight in Springfield, which lasted 3 years and cost the taxpayers thousands. I don't think we want to go there. Also, and more importantly to this council, is the fact that adopting this language is a fundamental change to our government, originally designed to be a mayor-central form. The budget authority the charter gives to the mayor is designed to give the only elected official that is a full-time employee with a financial team that is well aware of the budget needs of all departments. Thus, changing this, in my view, would require a ballot charter change, as it takes away budget authority from the mayor and transfers it to the school department, giving it also to the council. I mean, mayor for the school department and gives it to the council. Bottom line, we must change the charter to adopt the act, and that should be done by the voters. I therefore move that the City Council remove the adoption of Chapter 329, Acts of 1987 from the Finance Committee agenda, with the recognition that this act cannot be adopted without a charter change. That's my motion. Need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to remove the request to accept Chapter 329 of Act of 1987. Any further discussion? Councilor Kuczynski?
Mr. President, thank you. I was hoping that the council would have an opportunity to meet in committee and discuss this matter before it was brought back to the full council. I would hope and ask my fellow councilors for that opportunity.
Councilor Peak?
Yeah, I just want to say, all of that, am I on mute now?
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah, okay. I just want to say that this is the first I'm seeing of this, and we have not had an opportunity to meet to discuss this in committee at all. So I'm fine taking a vote on this. I just want to say, just for the record, that we don't have an opinion coming out of committee. We have not discussed this in committee, and this information is I haven't had an opportunity to chew on this at all.
Thank you, Councilor Peak. Any other councilor?
Councilor Zaret's first.
Councilor Zaret?
While it's not a direct interpretation, I would reference Rule 7 of the City Council matters to reduce to writing. I haven't had the opportunity to review this submission either. It would be preferable to at least discuss this and review this in a more timely way. And I think that even if it gets an unfavorable referral out of committee because of the opinion of the solicitor, which I think we all need more time to consider, I think that would be preferable.
Councilor Riley?
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think that sounds fine. I did see the information that Councilor Rist was reading. However, I don't see that there's any issue with having this type of conversation. And I believe with just the intensity and emotional outpouring from the public related to this issue, I believe we owe it to the public to at least have the conversation and hash it out and see exactly what it is in an open and transparent forum. And I think that that would be good for the public to be able to have that on the record. Thank you.
Any other councilor? Councilor Rist?
My motion is because if we were to adopt this, we would be in violation of the charter. Therefore, the Finance Committee would be discussing something that can't be adopted. It's a waste of Finance Committee time, but I'm happy to do it. If that's what this council wants, that's the reason I'm bringing it forward. However, I just don't feel comfortable discussing something that we can't even do. Now, on the other hand, the council does have the ability to adopt it, but again, we would be in violation of the charter, and we would be in, I believe, legal jeopardy if we were to do that. So my point in all of this is simply to ask, why are we moving forward with something the city attorney says we can't do and the voters can only do? What are we going to discuss in the committee that isn't obvious to me, to all of us? However, I'll withdraw the motion if that's what the council prefers. But when this is brought to my committee, and I don't know when I'm going to bring it forward, I'll simply ask the councilors, what do you want to do with it? But I've already made my opinion on it. So, Mr. President, I withdraw the motion, and it's obvious the councilors want to continue to talk about this, but frankly, it's a waste of time. But that's up to you. And I will always abide by the majority of the council if you want to talk about it. But it's okay, because I think Councilor Riley's point is well taken. The public needs to hear all of what I said and needs to know all the city attorney's opinion, and okay. So I therefore withdraw the motion.
And we have to withdraw the second too. Who made the second?
Withdraw the second.
Thank you, councilors.
I am not going to set a finance committee meeting at this time, Mr. President. I'd rather do it when I have other appropriations to do. So I therefore conclude.
We need to extend the charter required review for elected officials, boards, and committee stipends.
Oh,
Any
really?
Extension, yep.
Okay, then I make a motion to extend that for 90 days, please.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to extend the charter required review of elected official, boards, and committee stipend for 90 days. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
We say yes.
Okay. Dave Munier.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye.
Motion passes. Let's conclude, right, Councilor?
Yep.
Thank you, Councilor. Yeah, so it's six something, more than 6:15. We have
I move the public hearings be opened.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to open a public hearing. Barbara?
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
I don't see him here anymore.
Dave
JP.
Munier.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes. Just before let me take a look if Councilor Kuczynski is here. Oh, he's not. We lose him. I hope he came back soon. So we have a public hearing tonight for the city ordinance amendment about Chapter 6 by adding the new Section 323 entitled Deceptive Advertising Practice of Limited Service Pregnancy Centers. I just want to let everybody and the public that we are not voting tonight. We are planning to send this back to a committee and discuss it there again, and then we're going to have a recommendation for the committee. We don't know what that recommendation is going to be. Could be that they can table it, remove it with a prejudice, or they can something with a different language. But you have the right to talk. I just want to be clear out again with everybody in the public that we are not voting tonight. We're not going to take any actions, but like we advertise, you are going to allow to talk. We're going to give you 2 minutes. We're going to keep it to 2 minutes for everybody. It's going to be strict for that because there's a lot of people here. And please, if you're going to talk to the council. I'm going to start again with the people that are participating remote. Please state your name and address. Be respectful. Address to the council. And we're going to start now. Danielle? Can you please stand up?
Mm-hmm.
Danielle?
Hi, I'm here. Sorry. My name's Danielle O'Banion, 32 Mayor Street, Easthampton. I'm a local family doctor. I come to this discussion as someone who's cared for prenatal patients, delivered babies, counseled patients on contraception, and provided abortions. Organizations known as crisis pregnancy centers, pregnancy resource centers, pregnancy support centers, and limited service pregnancy centers have been extensively investigated by federal, state, and local lawmakers. It's important to note that these centers are typically staffed by volunteers and employees who lack medical training or licensure. When we discuss deceptive practices with regard to these pregnancy centers, it is straightforward to be specific. A federal investigation of these centers discovered that 87% of such centers provided false or misleading information about abortion, which tends to fall in 3 categories. First, these centers erroneously inform people that abortion increases the risk of breast cancer. This is not true, and the National Cancer Institute supports this. Second, they inform patients that abortion can make it difficult to become pregnant in the future. There is abundant data that this is not true. And then third, many crisis pregnancy centers inform patients that abortion may have a deleterious effect on long-term mental health. Also, as a doctor, not accurate, abundant scientific data to support this. When we are discussing deceptive practices, I just want the City Council to know that you can be specific in what we are talking about, and it is straightforward and supported by the evidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Anyone else from the people who are participating remote? Tom Brown? I see.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say that I understand the intention of this ordinance is to deal with potential deceptive practices by pregnancy crisis centers. However, if I can take a moment to just look at the bigger picture, the view from 30,000 feet, if you will, any of us could be victims of deceptive practices by a multitude of businesses or nonprofits. It could be in our dealings with a financial institution, a grocery store, advertisement, a gas station, or any business or nonprofit that we interact with. If this ordinance is truly only about protecting the public from deceptive practices, does the city intend to pass ordinances that would cover all the various possibilities of deceptive practices in the community? I hope not. It has always been my understanding that if I found myself the victim of any deceptive practice, my recourse was to the Attorney General's office, not to my local city government. I believe this proposed ordinance, either attempting to deal with deceptive practices or somehow attempting to restrict crisis pregnancy centers, should not be within the purview of our Easthampton City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Bart? Bart? Anyone else before Barbara can resolve her problem with the microphone? Ruby?
I'd like to speak if no one else is planning on speaking.
Who's this?
Hello?
Yes, who's this? Councilor Pete, can you unmute yourself just to see if everything's working fine? Can you do it now? Any of the councilor can hear me? Yes.
I can hear you now. I do hear someone from the public that wanted to speak.
I know, Councilor Kosinski. I just want to be sure that everything is working fine.
Oh, absolutely. I can hear you.
Yeah. Ruby?
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's my daughter's YouTube picture, so I apologize. My name is Jessica Britton, and I live in the next town over in Westfield. And I feel that there shouldn't be any laws, looking at this as deceptive marketing just because they don't offer a full service scope of pregnancy services. I think when you're a young teen and you have to make that decision, you should be able to go to either a place and weigh both sides, whether it's a place that focuses mainly on abortions or a place that focuses on how to cope with an unplanned pregnancy. I think, I've worked in the pharmaceutical industry for over 14 years. And when we present a medication to a doctor, we give fair balanced. We give the efficacy and we also give the side effects. So you can't just have one center and say that, we're going to be comprehensive and offer that when there is big federal government funding for Planned Parenthood and abortions. And it just tips the scales where they're not going to get that full balanced message on, how to handle or how to cope with a pregnancy going forward. And so I don't think that it's deceptive, and I don't think that there should be any regulations against it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the people who are participating remote? Megan?
Yes, I'd like to speak if no one else is speaking.
Can you please raise your hand? But I'm gonna let Megan talk first.
Okay.
57.
Hi, my name is Megan. I just wanted to speak in favor of the ordinance, that it's really, these crisis pregnancy centers have been shown to be very problematic and absolutely do deceive patients. As someone else spoke to, there's a lot of research that's been done over decades, just showing how deceptive and problematic they are. They purposely just try to talk people out of abortions, and they don't actually have any any actual clinical workers or people who are actually healthcare workers working at these facilities, and yet they present themselves often in that way. And so it's very problematic, and I definitely think we need a deceptive advertising ordinance, and I would fully support it. We need to do everything we can to make sure that people have accurate information about all kinds of reproductive services, including abortion. And like someone else spoke to, these centers have, there's been many, it has been on record that they have many times told people that abortions do cause higher rates of cancer, as well as other lies about abortion care. And so they're just very problematic. And as someone who has worked in healthcare and does work in healthcare, I've seen the lies spread by these anti-abortion centers, and we definitely need to put a stop to it. And right now, they outnumber abortion clinics by a lot in Massachusetts. They outnumber abortion clinics 3-to-1 in Massachusetts. And so if someone is looking for care, they're much more likely to stumble upon one of these anti-abortion centers that try to talk people out of full reproductive care. And don't give the full picture. So I think we definitely, we are in desperate need of this ordinance in Easthampton, as well as other cities and towns in Massachusetts. Thank you.
Megan. The person who the phone ended with 57?
Hi, my name is Teresa Leparati. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can you repeat
I'm
your
from
name,
West
please?
Springfield. Yeah, it's Teresa Leparati. Excuse me. I'm from West Springfield, and I belong to Our Lady of the Valley Church in Easthampton. And I think a couple things we need to consider. Number one, abortion is the ending of a pregnancy or killing of a human child. Pregnancy care is taking care of and or supporting a pregnancy, both mother and the child. They're not the same thing. Planned Parenthood doesn't counsel mothers about anything but aborting their children. Pregnancy care centers counsel mothers on way to support their pregnancy and to support their child. They're obviously not the same thing. They're obviously not the same service. If a woman whose intention is to have an abortion and she goes to a pregnancy care center, it's not going to take her too long to figure out, okay, I'm in the wrong place. And yes, it's been brought up that there's so many more pregnancy care centers now than there are Planned Parenthoods or abortion mills. And I believe that's very scary for those facilities to think that, oh no, here we are losing all this business. You know, claim it as a person's right. At the way things stand now, okay, it is. But they also have the right to hear all sides of the issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Jesse?
Hi, my name is Jessie Cooley, and I live at 18 School Street in Easthampton, and I did want to speak in favor of the ordinance. I'm really grateful for our leaders who are supporting this. It makes me feel proud to live in a town that's taking proactive action for reproductive rights and freedom as they're being taken away at the federal level, which is really terrifying for many of us. And I feel that this is really a matter of deceptive practices that have been well documented, as already mentioned tonight, have been investigated, and they are rampant in crisis pregnancy centers. So this is about truth in advertising and and that true information should be available to anyone who is pregnant, but not having misleading practices for those who are vulnerable in this position and needing support. I think that's really important. So thank you again for bringing this up, and I'm fully in support of the ordinance.
Thank you, Jesse. Nicole?
Hi, I'm Nicole Foch. I live in neighboring Hampton, and I just want to echo those who are supporting this ordinance and those who have spoken already about the deceptions that are well documented of these centers. They take advantage of people who are trying to make decisions about their futures, about their lives, about their bodies. And we need to do something to help stop that. As we face losing the federal right to abortion, we need our local and state policymakers to take strong action to protect access to comprehensive reproductive health care and services in our communities to help people access health care and access real support and help when making these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Carrie?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so I urge you to support Councilmember Owen Zarat's proposed ordinance concerning deceptive advertising practices of limited services pregnancy centers. I'm a faculty member at Smith College who studies and writes on limited services pregnancy centers, otherwise known as crisis pregnancy centers or pregnancy resource centers. I have written extensively on the research that has been done on these services, and I'm very concerned about the kind of misinformation that they tell vulnerable, young, pregnant people. They tell them things like that pregnancy causes breast cancer, that it causes depression, that it causes infertility. All of these things have been debunked by the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists and the American Psychological Association. Many of these centers inflate miscarriage rates to encourage women to delay care until it's too late to use abortion pills or access abortion legally. Such delay tactics can be dangerous, especially for people with ectopic pregnancies and those who plan to continue their pregnancies and need prompt medical care. These CPCs have very little government oversight at the state or federal level. And another thing that they do is that they promote abortion pill reversal, which is giving pregnant people progesterone to counter the effect of mifepristone. And ACOG calls this abortion pill reversal and, quote, unproven and unethical, and that it's dangerous to women's health. And so I think that we really need to keep a close eye on these centers and to make sure that they're not deceiving and misleading pregnant people who need access to real medical care, whether that's prenatal care or abortion health care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to apologize. Probably going to pronounce this wrong. Anemone?
You got it totally right.
Okay.
Hi, name's Nemini. I live at 14 Summer Street in Northampton. And I just wanted to speak in favor of this ordinance. As some folks who have spoken to before, this is not just between two different sides that people deserve to hear both perspectives of. This has real harmful impacts on people's health. People come to these centers seeking reproductive health care, and then instead they are stigmatized for the health care that they're seeking. And allowing these centers to have these kinds of deceptive advertising practices essentially pulls people away from the actual healthcare that they've already chosen to make or that they want accurate information about. So I really strongly urge City Council to pass the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone from the public want to participate? Please go to the podium, state your name and address, and can use, just one second. And again, I want to ask to everybody to be respectful, to talk to the council, and you have only 2 minutes, and please keep it to the 2 minutes. Councilor Sarah.
May I make a quick comment since we didn't have councilor comment prior to public comment?
Could I ask the people to speak loudly?
We're trying.
I just want to clarify the scope, the intended scope. Okay, I just want people to understand what we're trying to accomplish. Okay, and then speak afterwards. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Suzanne Bowles, and I live here in Easthampton, and I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to address my city council, and I appreciate and respect all of you. I do think that this is an issue of respect. And I do think that this is an issue of actually, we tend to make this into a polarized partisan discussion when really it's a humanitarian issue. And so I want to tell 2 quick stories within 2 minutes.
Can you please just talk to the council?
Yep.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm looking to make sure people can hear because I know they haven't heard well.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
can hear you.
So, I grew up in a town very much like Easthampton. I've lived here for 6 years now. In the town where I grew up, I had one cousin and one friend. A friend who was very much involved in her church community and confessed to girlfriends of hers, teenage girls, that she was being raped by her stepfather. Turns out that her stepfather was bringing her to get forced abortions, and she didn't have any understanding of any other options that might be available to her and felt incredibly ashamed in her pro-life community. And then I have a cousin who was raised in a really non-religious family, which is what I come from. And she was one of many of a long history, including my mother and many of her sisters who were being molested and raped by uncles in the family. And this was an intergenerational issue. And these girls were often told that they would redeem themselves and be pure if they would have a baby and find a husband. Neither of the girls in either of these stories had access to any more information than what they were given by the people who were in power around them. This is why we need centers like this to be able to provide the broad range of information. It's not a small issue, it's a humanitarian issue, because girls go on to replicate the cycles of abuse that they're immersed in. And they need to have the opportunity to liberate their own potential for our communities and for our well-being. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, this is Andrew Beckwith. I dialed in. Could I speak?
Excuse me, can you please keep muted?
Well, I'm trying to
Can
speak
you
as a member
please
of the
keep
public.
muted? Can you please stay muted? Thank you.
When will I have an opportunity to speak?
My name is Kelly Wilcox. I'm Executive Director of Clearway Clinic, serving Massachusetts, Central and Western Massachusetts. I represent a team of 6 physicians and 6 nurses who provide free health care to our community.
She's talking to the council, right? Excuse me, she's talking to the council. Just talk to the council.
Y'all have the right to hear it.
Can you please be quiet?
I will if I can hear everyone, please.
Can,
Please.
I'm saying please.
I am as well.
I'll start.
I can remove you from the room.
Thank you. That's fine.
So be respectful.
I am respectful, sir. It also affects the recording.
My name is Kelly Wilcox. I'm the Executive Director of Clearway Clinic. I represent 6 physicians and 6 nurses, and we serve in a state-licensed medical facility serving Western and Central Massachusetts. We provide free health care. That last year we helped over 600 families. We have a unique position in the community, particularly around mass health, where we're able to diagnose pregnancy as early as 6 weeks. You cannot get into an OB office without Mass Health, and you cannot get Mass Health without verification of pregnancy diagnosis. So we provide a vital service to women and families for early health care. We provide evidence-based, comprehensive, informed consent on all options. Women come to us because they do not want to go to an adoption agency, an obstetrician, or an abortion clinic when they do not know what they want to do with their pregnancy. They need unbiased education and health care. They need a diagnosis. So that is what our facilities do. We do provide abortion pill reversal. We've had over 12 women in this community in central Massachusetts who have continued their pregnancy after abortion pill reversal services. One thing we learned in the pandemic is that there is a wealth of opinion on medical research. So the Association of Pro-Life OBGYNs stands very strongly behind abortion pill reversal and encourages all physicians across the country to provide that service. To date, 3,000 women have given birth to their babies after they made the decision to stop an abortion procedure. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Judith Cross. I'm from Agawam. I live in Agawam, but I'm here today as an attorney. I've been a practicing attorney in Massachusetts for the past 45 years. That gives me some background to be able to comment today on the legal issues raised by this ordinance that I see, based on my experience. I also am involved in pro-life work, and I'm affiliated with pro-life ministries like Clearway Clinic and Bethlehem House, as well as pro-life organizations. So I have an understanding of not just the legal issues, but also how this type of an ordinance impacts these type of the pro-life ministry, these centers. First, let's just review I just would like a quick review of what your ordinance is. And there are two problems that really jump out at you. One, you define limited pregnancy service center as any service center, including Clearway Clinic, but because they don't provide abortion resources or abortions, they would be lumped into a limited pregnancy service center, which is subject to this ordinance under your definitions in section 23.1. You also, with the law, and I'll get into that, is called viewpoint discrimination because you're only targeting pro-life viewpoints. All those who provide abortion services or related services are excluded from the ordinance. You also under this you have in your section under how you define what is the violation is under section .2. It's deceptive practices. Now your title says deceptive advertising practices. This says deceptive practices, and you talk about in generic terms about deceptive, but nowhere is it defined. Nowhere are there specifics.
Thank you.
And I have material to leave for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Lisa Evans. I live at 5 Deerfield Drive in Easthampton. And yes, I live in this town, unlike many of the people who have been standing up and speaking tonight. But I wanted to say that I am strongly in favor of this ordinance. It has been well known that that many of these crisis pregnancy centers they blatantly and openly and knowingly are deceptive. They do not tell the truth, and we do not need that here. And I am strongly in favor of Councilman Zaret's proposition. And if it is put to a public vote at some point, I not only will vote yes, I will campaign for it. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Can you hear me? My name is Katya Shapiro. I live at 14 River Valley Way in Easthampton. And I have a brief story that has a unique perspective on this. I used to work down the hall from a particular crisis pregnancy center. As mentioned, all of them are different and all of them provide different services. That was about 8 floors up from the main Planned Parenthood clinic in the area. The woman who ran it left her door open frequently and had a very loud voice, so I heard not only most of her intake interviews, but her frequent discussions on the phone with any number of people in which I heard blatant lies about the work of the Planned Parenthood downstairs, including, you know, they kill women down there, which was interesting. But I also heard her intake interviews, which were very unclear and made it sound like she would provide abortion services or abortion referrals if that were wanted, and her service did not provide that. She also did not have medical professionals on staff and said that she did. As was pointed out earlier, many clinics are different and provide different services. I think this ordinance targets appropriately what have been referred to as deceptive practices and deceptive advertising. I just went on my way in here to take a look at the website of Bethlehem House, which is our local limited pregnancy service, and I thought it was very clear. They were very clear about what they advertised, and I was impressed because I've seen a lot of other things. As a citizen of Easthampton and as a person who believes in the widest range of reproductive health rights to be available to all people, I strongly support this ordinance. I'd be very interested in making sure that the enforcement angle of it as well is strong and enforceable, because I know this can be an issue. So thank you for bringing up this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jennifer Mckenna. I live in Northampton, and I work with advocates around the country who are concerned about crisis pregnancy centers and their role in our post-Roe world. I spoke to you in June about a study of 607 CPCs that I directed, and our finding that the majority used deceptive advertising and medical disinformation to reach women with unintended pregnancies. After I spoke, members of the Bethlehem House community spoke in objection to the ordinance, voicing misunderstandings and misrepresentations that I want to address. First, this ordinance concerns truth in advertising only. It's not meant to implicate First Amendment, free speech, or religious liberty rights. It would apply only to pregnancy centers that use deceptive advertising, whether faith-based or secular. Thus, CPCs that are transparent about their mission and services, like Bethlehem House appears to be, should have nothing to fear. I would, in fact, expect Bethlehem House to support this policy, to protect the women they care for from CPCs that would deceive them. Second, Bethlehem House is an outlier among CPCs in not using deceptive advertising. My study was the latest among scores of investigations which other people have referred to, documenting CPC practices that are deceptive, including to appear first in online searches of people searching for abortion, and to make it hard to distinguish anti-abortion centers from medically certified reproductive health clinics. Finally, the CPC industry plans to expand in states like ours post-Roe to better intercept residents and women traveling here seeking abortion care. But while deceptive CPC practices are well documented and CPC expansion in our state is certain, our state laws don't appear to protect pregnant women deceived by nonprofit providers of free services like CPCs. In this reality, your ordinance is critical proactive policymaking to protect Easthampton residents from CPCs current or future that aim to mislead and lie to pregnant patients. I would say one last thing about abortion pill reversal, which is the only credible clinical study that's been done, had to be interrupted because a quarter of the participants hemorrhaged and had to be hospitalized. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before you start talking, I just want to ask again to the public. You guys are talking to the council. I know it's hard to listen to everybody, right? This is a small room. The system is not the best one, but the people here are talking to the council. I'm going to ask one more time, respect the council, right? If you cannot hear, I'm sorry. We're trying our best. But the people who is in line is just talking to the council. Thank you. I'm not going to repeat it again. If I have to remove you from the room because you're disrespectful of the council, I'm going to remove you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lauren Simmons, and I live on Fairfield Avenue here in Easthampton. And I support the ordinance to prohibit deceptive advertising practices commonly used at crisis pregnancy centers. Deceptive advertising is harmful under any circumstances. But in a case of pregnancy, when a woman is vulnerable, young, inexperienced, and doesn't know what to do, it is especially cruel and wrong. Now, the reason I go a little further with this is that there is no more basic human right than ownership over your own body. Without that, you have no freedom. No one, least of all the government, has a right to force you to use your body to save the life of anyone else. It doesn't matter whether that's a cluster of fetal cells or a Nobel Prize-winning scientist. Thousands of people die every year from renal failure waiting for an organ transplant, but no one forces you to donate a kidney. What's more, hospitals need express written consent to harvest organs from a dead body. So what that means today in this country is that a corpse has more rights protecting it than women do. I'm proud to work for Yahoo, and this statement was issued by my company. Overturning Roe v. Wade impacts fundamental human rights, including health, safety, and privacy. We need to support and protect these basic human rights and leave associated moral concerns to each individual. This ordinance is a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you to the council for having this open session. I appreciate the opportunity. I also respectfully...
Will you please, your name and address, please?
Oh, sorry. Rachel Harden, Emerald Place in Easthampton. Respectfully, as far as the issue of people hearing, for people to be able to speak and answer points, they do need to hear what's being said. So respectfully, not to be disrespectful to you, but just to make that point. I come to you tonight as someone who has had an unexpected crisis pregnancy, someone who has faced the trauma of not being sure if I would be able to care for my other children, not being sure if my body was healthy to have the pregnancy. Fortunately for me, I have an excellent support system, and I was able to rely on that system to make it through a difficult time. But I also understand that many women do not have that kind of a support system. I also come to you as someone who has walked that road with women who are facing that situation, who desire to have their children and don't have support in healthcare, in childcare, in the needs during pregnancy and post-pregnancy. And I can tell you, having walked that road with these women, there is a huge need for every kind of support you can find. Women who do not have family support, who may not be able to work, they are struggling with a little bit here and a little bit there in order to have these children, have healthy pregnancies, have healthy childhoods for these children. My concern with this ordinance is that as it is written, at the heart of it, it implies that crisis pregnancy centers that do not provide abortions are inherently more likely to behave illegally or immorally. Now, I understand there's been some studies on that, but when we discuss a study, we need to understand, may I just finish the thought, sorry? Quickly, okay. We need to understand that if there's one case in one facility, that goes into the study. My experience, my personal experience in multiple facilities in multiple states has not been that, and I would just urge the council to make sure that we are acting in a way that supports every woman's choice, even if she chooses to keep her child in a healthy pregnancy and healthy childhood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Cheryl Zoll. I'm the CEO of Tapestry Health. I live in Amherst, but we serve a lot of people who live in Easthampton. And I could repeat a lot of what was said, but I feel most moved to clarify what it means to come into a sexual and reproductive health clinic like Tapestry's that is a licensed medical clinic that provides options. If somebody comes into Tapestry and is pregnant, then our counselors are obligated to and do a very good job of presenting all options, whether a woman wants to keep the baby, put it up for adoption, or to terminate the pregnancy. And we see our job as medical providers to make sure that a person has all of the information that they need. So I don't think this is a debate about what kinds of options people have when they come into a medical clinic, because just speaking from the point of view of Tapestry, that's certainly all of the options are available. From our perspective, coming to a medical facility, it's a sacred trust. A person is putting their body and their life in your hands when they come in to see you, and we all have an obligation to make sure that the care that people provide is fully informed, evidence-based, and is respectful of the needs and desires of the person coming in. And we're very concerned about organizations that have deceptive advertising practices that would give a person a feeling that when they came in, that was the kind of care that they were going to get, when in fact it's care with an agenda. And so for clinics, for places that do deceptively advertise themselves as clinics, it could be a deadly danger for the people who come in. And we support and we too are subject to the same thing, any kind of an ordinance that will make sure that when people are seeking medical care, it's very transparent that they're getting what it is they're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan Berard, Statewide Organizing Director for Planned Parenthood. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to address the council tonight. I don't want to repeat things that have already been said, but I will just try and emphasize a couple points. We at Planned Parenthood are very proud of the healthcare staff that we have in our centers. And those staff work hard to ensure that every patient that comes into a Planned Parenthood center is fully informed of all options and are not left out in the dark. Because this is a situation where you might have someone terrified, scared, alone. They don't deserve to be deceived. They don't deserve to be lied to. And unfortunately, the places that we're talking about actively do that. And you have the opportunity as a council to say, no, not in this town. We will support every woman's choice to choose adoption, to keep the child, or to have an abortion, because that individual choice is fundamental. It's absolutely a right, and we've enshrined that right in Massachusetts. And as such, we're going to see people come here from other states who are not respective of that right. And I think what will follow is more crisis pregnancy centers coming into our state, which already outnumber full-service clinics 3-to-1. We need now more than ever to reaffirm the fact that we believe that choice and medical freedom is a right, an indisputable and alienable right, and you have the opportunity to do that with this ordinance and follow the example set by other cities and towns, and I believe that more will follow after you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much for having this hearing. My name is Councilor Kristen Strezzo. I'm an at-large councilor representing Somerville, Massachusetts. Thank you so much for listening. I put forward this ordinance in Somerville, and I support this ordinance, and am very proud that other councilors have saw the importance of this. And I want to make very clear, as I have before, that it does not shut down any existing CPC's facilities. All it's asking is that your constituents receive the best medical attention and accurate information, that they are not deceived, that they are not told lies or any kind of religious agenda. It's just, we are just ensuring that they are receiving the best medically accurate information. It is legally sound, it has been court tested, and if any CPCs are operating with integrity and respect, there's nothing for them to fear. It does not shut down any clinics. It only safeguards practices, and it safeguards your constituents. Your constituents are watching, and they will remember this next year. There are so many women, so many pregnant people that feel isolated, scared, and very disheartened by the Supreme Court decisions. They are watching your choices, and they will remember this. So please vote in support of this ordinance. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor.
Hi, my name is Abby Goldberg. I live in Florence Road in Easthampton. I'm also a researcher and a professor of psychology who's been studying LGBT youth and families for over 20 years. I'm here to highlight the unique needs and vulnerabilities of queer and trans youth where CPCs are concerned. A little known fact is that LGBT youth are between 2 to 7 times more likely to find themselves with an unintended pregnancy. In part, this is due to a lack of access to medically accurate reproductive health information that meets their sexual health needs. LGBT youth often navigate the aftermath of an unintended pregnancy without family support and guidance. This renders them vulnerable to inaccurate information and deceptive practices. In some, LGBT youth's disproportionate risk of experiencing an unintended pregnancy, combined with the fact that they're often rejected or estranged from family, means that they represent a vulnerable group where CPCs are concerned, and I'm here to speak for those youth. I hope that we can protect the most vulnerable members of our community when they need us the most.
Hi, my name is Wayne Worsham from Holyoke. I'm in favor of the pre-crisis, the Crisis Institute. I just want to simply say that the misinformation that's being given is on the part of the Planned Parenthood people who let people think that there is no other choice but to have abortion. A baby is formed within 18 days. It has a heartbeat and it has a body. And its body is saying, I want life. And if everyone, food for thought on this is that if every mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother, right on down to Eve, had made a choice for abortion along any part of that line of our lives, we wouldn't be here right now. So, it has to, women have to understand that when they become pregnant, that is a God-given responsibility, that they must bring that child in the admonition of the Lord. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Janelle Medina, and I support the Pregnancy Care Centers. I'm a volunteer at the Pregnancy Care Center in Springfield, and Pregnancy Care Centers are biblical, faith-based ministries. They are an extension of the church, and by the grace of God, we have not prevented a voluntary client's God-given ability or fundamental right to choose to terminate their pregnancy or not. We are there to help them make a more biblically informed decision about their pregnancy. Everything else is left in the hands of God to judge. Voluntary clients are still free to choose regardless. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Council, thank you. Emma Johnson, born and raised Pioneer Valley, 20 Nashwanik Street, Easthampton. I'm here today because I'm extremely concerned about the deceptive medical information being given out freely by local crisis pregnancy centers like the Clearway Clinic. Being allowed to give out false or biased medical information is extremely damaging to the health and well-being of our residents, especially those who are young, vulnerable, without support systems, who are of childbearing age, and who I feel are very underrepresented here today. In the wake of the strike down of Roe and the damaging restrictions to women's health and reproductive freedom, the last thing I want to see is a predatory and deceptive medical center in my hometown. Please help keep Easthampton a safe place to live and seek care by supporting this ordinance. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Molly Incowitz. I live over in Holyoke, but I work and frequent Easthampton. I am in support of this ordinance, and I think you all should be as well. The stakes are really high right now, and I think having this community, which is such a great community, be on the front lines of passing ordinances like this is important to set an example to other communities in our state. Our state is one of the places where, for the moment, things are being upheld for women, but we need to really solidify it as much as we can with any resources that we can. So I think you should all be in support of this ordinance. Thank you.
Hello, Council. My name is Rosa Vega Lamoth, and I'm here as a woman in support of the pregnancy care centers, all of them. I support life from conception until we take our last breath. And I just want to share my reasoning why I support pro-life care centers. Like the name says, it's common sense. These are pro-life-based pregnancy services that are given to the preborn baby and their mothers to take care of the preborn babies and their moms. These are not pregnancy termination centers. They are not deceiving anyone. They are very clear of what they do. These life centers take care of the babies and their moms, of the preborn babies and their moms. The ordinance will interfere with the center's rights of freedom of speech, of giving information not only on paper, but word of mouth. So the ordinances will get in the way of the center's freedom of speech. So please think about this. Think about the rights that these centers have. Not only will they interfere with the freedom of speech, but also freedom of religion, because some of these centers are faith-based centers. And they will also interfere with the views of the pregnancy care centers. If these ordinances are passed, they are unconstitutional. Pro-life pregnancy centers were not created to offer abortion alternatives. That's Planned Parenthood. And yes, we need a balance. We need a balance, two points of view, like it was mentioned before. These abortion alternatives are known to harm women, and I have people in my family that were harmed emotionally, mentally, and physically. And thanks to Rachel's Vineyard, they no longer are. And the only reason you can speak today is because your mom did not abort you.
Just 1 second again. Again, please respect the council. And if we're gonna keep doing this, instead of 2 minutes, I'm gonna reduce it to 1 minute, 30 seconds. So give the time to the people to talk, please.
Laura Baldwin, Westfield, Mass. So what I found interesting at the last meeting was that...
Can you speak a little louder?
Oh,
The
sure.
counselor cannot
Yeah, can
hear you.
everybody hear me?
No, the counselors.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for having me here, by the way. I appreciate it very much. Okay, so I just want to say can I start my 2 minutes now? Okay. So I found it interesting that you didn't have a PCP here, a CPC here in town, and a counselor said that he wasn't even aware that there was a Bethlehem House in town, and I guess he was working on this. And I found that interesting. I appreciated the honesty and transparency of that counselor, so thank you very much. I think we need a lot more transparency about the who, the what, the why, on how this all got started, because I could say the guy next door to me is a child molester. It doesn't make it true. You know, we need to have proof and evidence when we make these comments that they're giving false information. Bethlehem House, is a humanitarian. They give out free supplies to people that are your constituents. They're helping your constituents. You should be their friends and build them up and help them to do this, not put them under the fear of a fine. It's almost like hanging over your head. They should be rewarded for what they're doing for your people. I think it's fantastic. And I know they don't make any of those comments or do any of those things. So I would like to see, if you do add them in the ordinance in any way, that you would make them free of any fines like you did with the people that take psychedelic drugs, that you would give the same equal balanced measures to a humanitarian agency that is doing good in the community, to give them that encouragement to do so. I was here on June 1st, And I'm going to try to just do this without even looking at my notes. And I was surprised that a high-level, executive with Planned Parenthood was here at Little Easthampton, the quaint town of Easthampton. It just struck me odd, and it made me unsettled. I was questioning, did someone from the council invite him? Was this a regional group, coup getting him here? Or did he just seek out Easthampton, to come on his own to push this agenda? The questions, I'm being honest, the questions went through my mind, and I think they're all possibilities, but.
Thank you. 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to say one thing.
Thank you.
He made some statements
Thank
that were
you.
very bad about
you.
me. I need to say this.
Thank you. 2 minutes.
He made some
We
statements.
give you 2
He said
minutes.
that
Thank
the
you.
group,
Next person. Thank you.
he said that the group,
If you don't move, we have to remove you with the police. I don't want to do that.
okay, he was deceptive
please-
and inaccurate in
Can
what
you
he
please?
said. Have gone over this.
Hi, my name is Jean Powell-Wilson. I'm from Easthampton. I've been a resident for about 24 years. And I have my degree from UMass Amherst in clinical psychology. And I have a doctorate, and I have worked in several community mental health clinics over the years. And as well, I have been in private practice since 2019. At the June 1st meeting, on the Ordinance, Chapter 623 on the deceptive advertising practices of limited services pregnancy centers, I just want to say the ordinance is targeting limited services pregnancy centers, defined as a pregnancy services center that does not directly provide or provide referrals for abortions or emergency contraception. The ordinance saying that limited services pregnancy centers are being deceptive and falsely advertising their services because they don't offer referrals, which they consider is the full range of services. First, there's confusion and false negative accusations around this ordinance. Limited services pregnancy centers do not claim to provide referrals for abortions and emergency contraception. So how can they be at fault for something they don't claim to do? At least for Bethlehem House, I know in Easthampton, since this ordinance is concerning Easthampton. That's like accusing McDonald's of false advertising for not providing Southern Fried Chicken. But McDonald's never said they were going to provide Southern Fried Chicken. If you want Southern Fried Chicken, you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. The correct category for this ordinance would be Crisis Pregnancy Center, in that they do offer pregnancy counseling. Now that we have clarified the terms, is there a crisis pregnancy center in Easthampton? No, there is not. So this makes me wonder, why is there an ordinance on something that doesn't exist? You are creating, or the ordinance is creating confusion around these terms. And the closest thing in Easthampton is the Pregnancy Care Center, Bethlehem House. They do not offer any counseling services.
Thank you. 2 minutes.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Chelsea McGrath. I live at 41.5 Maple Street. And I just wanted to say, look, abortion is an extremely hot topic. We are not all going to agree.
Can you
Religion.
please repeat your name?
Yes, it's Chelsea McGrath.
And by the way, we stopped the
Okay,
clock.
thank you.
Yeah.
Abortion is an extremely hot button topic. We are not all going to agree on that. Religion is a hot button topic. We are not all going to agree on that. This is a state that always has, and I believe always will, uphold the right to an abortion. If you do not believe in that, that is absolutely your right, and your religious beliefs are your own. You do not have the right to put them on anybody else, and you do not have the right to advertise as yourself as a center that is going to provide all the options. I've been to the Clearway Clinic website. It is full of lies and deceptive information. They act as though they are a place where they are going to provide you with abortion services, only to tell you lies such as, why get an abortion when you can just wait and see if you're going to miscarry? That is on their website. If you want to be a pro-life religious clinic that is against abortion, that is your right. You need to be clear about that. The issue is deception. The issue is luring in vulnerable women who need to know what all of their options are and acting as though you are something you are not. If you want to be an anti-abortion clinic, be that and be clear about it. What you cannot do is be deceptive. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Keith Davis, and I live in Holyoke. And, you know, I can't believe what I'm hearing here tonight.
Can you please talk to the council? Thank you. Can you please look to the council when you're talking?
I can't hear you.
Can you please look to the council when you're talking? Don't look to the public.
Okay.
Thank you.
Over here. But if you're going to go after these pregnancy care centers, and their only job is to try to protect lives, you also, you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And you look at the abortion clinics and the deception of the whole abortion industry for 39 years here of saying that abortion is safe. Legal abortion is safe. You know, ask the 60 million babies that died. It's not too safe for them. And the same thing with saying reproductive health care. If there's a baby killed in an abortion, there's no reproduction. And the same thing with Planned Parenthood. If there's an abortion, there's no parenting, okay? So, and if, you know, the abortion clinics, if they have an ultrasound device and they use it, they often use it only to find out how far along a baby is so they know how to kill the baby. They are reluctant to show the mother the ultrasound. And the pregnancy care centers that have ultrasounds, they know that when mothers see that, they say, that's a real human being. So you have to say that, you know, the abortion clinics are also deceptive, and you see the people on the street saying, my choice, my body, my choice. They're wearing Planned Parenthood shirts and saying that, but they have to realize that is not their body inside there. That is another body and another human being.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
My name is Mike McManus. I live at 225 Hadley Street.
Speak up if you can.
My name is Mike McManus. I live at 225 Hadley Street. I'd like to comment on the deceptive information portion. There is references to I lost my train of thought. You know, abortions leading to not being able to fertility problems in the future. There are studies that comes from after the abortion. There's fetal material that could be left in the womb, and it's from that where an infection can occur, which can cause damage to the womb. It happens, you know, less than 1% in abortions before 14 weeks, but after 14 weeks, there's studies, there's data that shows that it happens in 13% of abortions. For the mental health issues, there's studies that show that women, from 5 to 20% of women will have mental health issues in the first year after an abortion. But then that goes down to 1 to 3% for 1 to 5 years after the abortion. So there's a lot of interpretation of data that's out there and the information that's put out. And I think asking the Board of Health to enforce what's misinformation and what's real information can be tricky, because there is room for interpretation of the data. It's not like a building code violation or whether or not a grease trap has been serviced regularly. There's discretion in interpretation of the data. And I think the ordinance should be well defined and what is misinformation, what isn't.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Adam Ripka. I'm from Westfield, formerly of Easthampton. I want to talk about just what the lawyer previously spoke about viewpoint discrimination. You define a limited services pregnancy center as a pregnancy service center that does not directly provide or provide referrals for abortions or emergency conception. So I want to know, how does whether a clinic provides abortion become the sole grounds for monitoring deceptive practices? If you're truly concerned about helping women, wouldn't you be concerned about the deception in abortion centers as well? And I pointed out last month, and Keith just mentioned it as well, Planned Parenthood's name is already deceptive. It should be called Preventing Parenthood. There's nothing done at an abortion clinic that has anything to do with parenthood. So why is that deception not covered in this ordinance? You're exempting them from that. That's discrimination. Another interesting thing was the majority of people who spoke about so-called deceptive practices at the CPCs use the terms reproductive health care, abortion care. All right, so the definition of health care, the prevention, treatment, and management of illness and preservation of mental and physical well-being through the services offered by the medical and allied health professions. Abortion is not health care, okay? A woman in here that spoke has an abortionist health care shirt on. That's nonsense, okay? It doesn't try to prevent a disease. It doesn't try to treat an abnormal condition. It is actually circumventing the normal course of human reproduction, namely pregnancy. And the left doesn't advocate for abortion for some physical issue with the woman or with the child in the womb. It's instead they want to be able to kill for any reason or no reason at all. This is not health care. All right? Your ordinance says deceptive practices can be by statement or omission. So are you saying that if a pregnancy care center refuses to promote abortion, they're omitting something and therefore by your definition they're automatically deceptive? What I think is your ordinance is actually deceptive. You should stop the deception, be transparent, and it's attack on the pro-life institutions. So.
Good evening, Council. My name is Bob Sass. I live on Windsor Circle. Many of you might not know this, but I spent 34 years in healthcare, 25 of those years in biotechnology. The technology that's used on pregnancy tests, we invented it. We invented a number of other technologies over the years, and it was a company called Hybertech when I lived in California. I know one thing. No matter what the issue in scientific papers, I can present scientific papers that show one thing, and I could present scientific papers that show other things. So I think we need to be very, very careful when special interests present papers to you, okay? And you've got to be very prudent in reading those. Many of us here tonight feel this ordinance is predatory. And since the Bethlehem House is the only one that could fit in this, it's predatory against the parishioners of Our Lady of the Valley that are very proud of this, that represent between 25 and 30% of your constituents. And I'm going to leave you with one final thought. And Councilor Rist, I hope you don't mind that I'm going to quote you. This is going to cost the taxpayers dollars, and I don't think we want to go there. Thank you.
My name is Ted Doodrin from Chicopee, Massachusetts. I must commend the City Council for supporting the police department. The reason being is you support safety and you support life in this town. I want to commend you for supporting the fire department because they also support safety and lives in this city. I want to commend the City Council for the ambulance services that you provide because they protect the lives and safety of people who may be injured. I hope you strike down this ordinance or do not consider it because Bethlehem House also provides support, life, and safety.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Doodrin. I'm the proud wife of Deacon Ted Doodrin.
I just want to say that I was in nursing school. I've been a nurse for almost 45 years. And while I was in nursing school, Roe versus Wade was passed. And it was the understanding that Planned Parenthood, when my friends and peers went there, that they would counsel them about what would happen when they would have an abortion. People came up here on the other side saying that they had family or friends that had abortions and that they were glad they had them. I have never known any of my friends or peers that had an abortion and was happy about it. They've lived with sorrow and loss over all the years since they lost that little baby. So I hope you will strike down the ordinance.
Hi, my name is Liz Popolo. I'm a resident of Williamsburg. I'm also a woman. I'm a woman of childbearing age. I recognize I'm not from Easthampton.
Excuse me, can you repeat your name, please?
Yes, Liz Popolo, and I'm a resident of Williamsburg, which
Thank
is
you.
why I wanted to speak last. I recognize that the majority of people speaking here from Easthampton have been in favor of the ordinance, and the majority of people speaking opposed have been from outside of town, like myself. But I wanted to share an experience that I personally had with what I later came to understand was a CPC. The person that I interacted with was via telehealth, and it was a person purporting to be from Eastern Massachusetts, operating under what I assumed was basic therapy sessions. Within the first session, this person was trying to shepherd me into group sessions with other women of reproductive age. And she omitted identifying as operating on behalf of an evangelical church from Florida. I only found this out after the fact through doing my due diligence. So personally, I've been affected in that my money and my time was wasted by somebody who was not forthcoming about their intentions when I engaged in therapy with them. And this happened even outside of the boundaries of my town, even outside of the boundaries of our state. This ordinance, I believe, is important for women like me, and I speak here in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Joseph Coleman. I live at 52 East Street, East Hampton. East Hampton. I am a resident, and I do not support this ordinance. I don't know, I don't know if you have what the future holds. If you have the Bethlehem House, you want to do whatever it is, but that's the only center in this town that helps pregnant women who's choosing to have their babies, women who wants to keep their babies. They get diapers, bottles, car seats, whatever is a support system for the mothers. So, this is crazy. This place helps pregnant women. So, I urge you to not to vote for this ordinance. I've been a member of this town for 20-something years, and I really love Easthampton. And this is something Easthampton should be taken up instead of this ordinance. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hello, greetings. My name is Deanna Jimenez from Westfield, but I have worked in Easthampton for over 6 years and take a lot of pride in working here. I've proudly worked for Planned Parenthood for 4 years, and it has been some of the most meaningful work I've ever done in my entire life. I will more than happily support this ordinance because it is not an attack on pro-life people, it is an attack on human rights. No one is taking away any values, any morals. Wake up. It is an attack on all bodies and fundamental rights. When men and other folks who have lived a life of privilege talk about how abortion isn't healthcare, of course you wouldn't understand why reproductive rights and justice are crucial to the survival of bodies that are already here. I support this city ordinance fully. A ball of cells is not a baby, and have a lovely day. Yes!
My name is Grace Calcano. I'm a resident of can you hear me? I'm a resident of 211 East Street here in East Hampton. And I just want to say that I support centers like Bethlehem House. I have volunteered there. Have never found anything deceptive there. And in choosing the language of what deceptive is, got to be very careful because the mission of a center is what they stand for. And this pregnancy support center would value life, and that's what they will be promoting. So I just encourage the council to be very careful with anything that is defined as deceptive language. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bob Wade. I live in Holyoke. I was not prepared to speak tonight. I had no intention to do so, but I've heard some things that I have to respond to. I've been a sonographer for 25 years. And as far as deceptive practices go, I've been ordered by my hospital to not let a mother hear a heartbeat because she might change her mind. Not to show her the screen that I'm looking at because she might change her mind. You can talk about misinformation or you can talk about withholding information. Both of them are wrong. My second point is simply, I'm not here because I'm here because this thing that I'm hearing about what the definition of a pregnancy care center is. It seems to me what you're doing is you're compelling speech. You are compelling people to talk about abortion if they don't want to, or they don't offer them, and they don't think they're right. Why is that the bar that we're using here? That if you don't tell people about abortion, it means you're being deceptive? I don't think so. That's compelling speech, which the Supreme Court has ruled is not under the purview of any government. You cannot compel them to tell anyone about abortion. There is no one in this country that doesn't know already. Stop it. Everybody knows that you can get an abortion in America. And in Massachusetts, definitely, it's never going to be in any trouble. So compelling people to say something that is against their conscience, or you're going to hang a sword above their head, is ridiculous. Please reconsider.
I intend for my voice to be heard because we can't hear in the back. So hopefully we can hear now. Thank you. Okay, here's the deal. Every human life has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you kill a baby, they don't have life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness. Second point that I want to make. If pregnancy care centers are deceptive because they don't give information out about abortion, Planned Parenthood does not use information about bringing up children and having pregnancy continue. And one of those ideas is that they don't show the whole ultrasound, they don't show the heartbeat, they don't disseminate information about giving birth. So why aren't we saying that Planned Parenthood is not deceptive? It is deceptive. It's a deceptive practice. And until we have Planned Parenthood and other organizations giving out information about women who want to keep their babies and their heartbeats and their full disclosure of ultrasounds, until we have that, don't put this ordinance through saying pregnancy care centers are being deceptive, because both sides of this could be said deceptive. Now, pregnancy care centers should not be forced to give information out about abortion unless Planned Parenthood gives full information.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council, and thank you very much for hearing us all out. My name is Jennifer Mckenna, and I live in South Hadley now, but I'm an active parishioner at Our Lady of the Valley here in Easthampton. And so I feel like I have a vested interest in the success of Bethlehem House and other ministries. So I want to just address the ordinance itself, and that is one, we've just spent, side note, we just spent 2 years avoiding a virus. Let's stop this virus here. This virus of this ordinance is spreading around the state and around the country, and I'm here to fight against it. So, the ordinance in the deceptive practice, right, that broad, is very broad. And there are other things, right? Couldn't other businesses be using deceptive practices? I signed up for a class, and it turns out, oh, no, actually you have to be a member of the thing. Well, you didn't advertise that I had to be a member. I just signing up for the class. Or, like, that's just another business model that has been deceptive to me. Nothing to do with Bethlehem House, right? There are other things that can be deceptive, and there's already laws against that. Why do we have to pick specifically on an organization that's really trying to help, right? We don't want to step on people's free speech and force them to go against their conscience to give information out that they don't want. It's easily accessible anywhere else, right? So deceptive practices is a very broad term that if you really want something like this, you need to be very, very specific, and that's clearly not. I expect better from elected officials. Thank you very much. God bless.
Hi, my name is Katrina Ripka. I live in Westfield currently, but am previous resident of Easthampton. I know that this whole thing is all about deception, deceptive, misleading, or untrue things being prevented, but I do see your own wording and your own ordinance as deceptive. You talk about limited services pregnancy centers and define them as a pregnancy service center that does not directly provide or provide referrals for abortions or emergency contraception. So by your definition, you're implying that a full services pregnancy center must provide abortion or emergency contraception. But by definition, pregnancy is the state of a female who has conceived, is with child. So by definition, a true pregnancy center cannot provide abortion, as abortion terminates a pregnancy. A true pregnancy center will help support and maintain a pregnancy, not end one. So I really think you need to be extremely careful with your wording, your choices, and you need to make sure you're not misleading and being deceptive in your own definitions and ordinance. Thank you very much.
Hey folks, Nick Katko from Holyoke. I think the case for the pro-life case is very simple. 3 premises, 2 premises, 1 conclusion. It is wrong to kill an innocent human being, point 1. Number 2, abortion kills an innocent human being. Therefore it follows, abortion is wrong. If we disagree on premise number 1, you don't need an argument. You need a jail cell. Thus, the argument is around point number 2. Does abortion kill a child, an innocent human being? Yes, it does. The science of embryology proves beyond the shadow of a doubt that what is inside of the mother is not a clump of cells. That is an old argument, long gone, right? Working at Planned Parenthood doesn't give you the right to give that argument and give it any validity. 3 points. It is alive. It is distinct from the mother, and it is a human being that we're talking about here. The other point I wanted to make is that these pro-life pregnancy centers, they're in very direct competition to Planned Parenthood. Right. And over the last decade, Planned Parenthood's business has gone down by about 30% in the state of Connecticut around here, right, overall. So this deceptive advertising law is actually promoting abortion by trying to limit the competition to it, right? And so you can certainly make this just a raw political power play and nothing else, right? You have all the power politically in our state for now. Are you using that power to take out the competition? And are you bringing on more liability to the city of Easthampton? If you're found to be violating First Amendment rights of an existing or hypothetically coming CPC.
Thank you. We have more people. Thank you. 2 minutes.
Thank you.
My name is Hank Senecal, and I'm saddened by some of the stuff I hear here. You want to talk about deception? My daughter got pregnant. She had a Down syndrome child. What right did the nurses and doctors have to tell her she's going to have a hard life and lose that baby, to tell her to lose that baby? I'm now the proud grandfather of a special needs Down syndrome boy who is a joy to my life. If I was to go to one of them centers and take my Bible out and show them why they shouldn't have an abortion, would that be deceptive? Anybody answer that? Would that be deceptive? No. And this woman that came up here and called a life a ball of flesh, that's appalling. It's, yes, your body has, you have a right, but you don't have the right to take a life and kill generation after generation. That life would have went on and expanded more and more. I'm so sick and tired of people fighting to murder. That's what it amounts to. Stop it. You're going to pay for it in the end. Everyone here that believes in abortion, you're going to pay for it when your life is taken by the God that created you.
Good evening. My name is Victoria. I live in Holyoke. I'm here because of the legal precedent that this may set for other areas, so it is a matter of concern to many of us. I speak as the fifth child born to parents on welfare who came as immigrants to this country. I was, as many would define, non-viable. Had my mother subscribed to the same views of many people, I would not be here. So when you speak of supporting mothers, I want to say you support children as well. We are past the point in our culture where we have to choose a mother over a child. If you make ordinances that protect and support, create support systems that I've heard many people say there are no support systems, then let's, as a town, as a society, create those instead of saying, go kill your child. No, how about here's a support system, here's some viable resources, and to shut down and fine organizations who are supporting and helping mothers have alternative choices and coerce them to speak against their conscience in the name of reproductive health. Abortion is not reproductive health. You end life. You do not support life with it. So we need to be better as a society. We are not surviving anymore. We're not trying to. We're wealthy, we're prosperous. We have the capacity to build systems to support life. We don't have to choose anymore. We can say, we can help the mother, we can help the child, and they can both live good lives, even if hard lives. My mother had a hard life because of me. I'm not going to deny it. Yeah, I won't deny that. But it is still a good life. It is still a life worth living, a life worth supporting, a life worth promoting on a societal level. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Pat Barrows. I live in Easthampton on 1 Stanley Street. Thank you for this opportunity to talk tonight. You have a hard job. You have a really hard job. I'm a psychologist. I know what it's like trying to deal with people on different sides of things, whether it's working with couples or whatever. You have some of the same issues. But I have to say, sometimes tonight I felt like a little bit like I was at the Supreme Court, you know, where the issue was Roe v. Wade. I don't think that that's what my understanding of this referendum, or I'm using the wrong word, but is whether or not there needs to be truth in advertising, period, the end. I mean, we could go on forever about who's pro-choice, who's pro-life, when does the fetus viable, there is information on both sides and whatever. This is not about Roe v. Wade. This is about truth in advertising. I haven't heard or read anything in the people supporting this referendum saying anything negative about Bethlehem House, which a lot of people have talked about tonight. Everything I read said, seems like they're doing great. You know, what they're advertising is what they're doing. And people get to have that choice. I mean, you know, if someone is pro-choice, that means people can choose to go to Bethlehem House or go to any of these other agencies. That's not an issue. The issue is, does the agency say what it's going to do? Period, the end. And I just needed to say that to you. And it's a hard deliberation, and I wish you luck with it. And I hope that we can, that you're able to stay with kind of the straight and narrow of the legal definitions here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Dick Pasquini. I'm from Ludlow, Mass. I'm on the board of directors of Bethlehem House, and I'm here because I'm very concerned about how this might affect Bethlehem House. Last week, a gentleman showed up at the back door with about 20 bags of clothes, fresh clothes that he had bought from Walmart, local areas, and he donated them to Bethlehem House and said, I don't want any thank you, just give these to the babies, We have churches throughout the area that that do bottle drives, that give clothing. The women that come here need items like carriages, pack and plays, bottles, diapers, clothing. They get all of that for free. All I ask you to do is to please make an appointment. Talk to Pam Hibbert, who does not get paid. Nobody at Bethlehem gets paid. Everything is donated. Their time is donated, including Pam Hibbert. I'm an amazing woman. Please take the time, make an appointment, go to this facility and see what it's all about before if you put this into effect, somehow it will affect that facility and it might close. And that's going to be a tragedy. It's a tragedy. And I know you don't want that to happen. Thank you.
Anyone else that didn't talk to the council yet want to say something else? Anyone from the public or anyone from the people who are participating remote?
Yes, my name is Michael King. Can you hear me?
Before you talk, give me a second. Raise your hand, and then I will allow you to talk as soon as I recognize you.
So I'm coming in by phone. I don't know how to raise my hand over the phone.
Okay, can you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Michael King from Massachusetts Family Institute here in Massachusetts. There is a nearly identical law in Connecticut that is currently the subject of a federal lawsuit as a violation of free speech. This is being represented by a very large and successful organization called Alliance Defending Freedom. Allied attorneys of ADF are watching what Easthampton does closely. Keep in mind that Easthampton is different from Somerville, even though Somerville has opened itself up to liability as well. Easthampton has a pregnancy care center called Bethlehem House that would come under the made-up term limited pregnancy care center. The new Connecticut state statute is based on a 2011 ordinance passed by the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, which was upheld by the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and allowed to stand by the U.S. Supreme Court, which declined to hear an appeal in June 2018, before the additions of Justice Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett to the High Court. Clearly, the makeup of the Supreme Court has changed to better support life, as seen by the overturning of Roe. These cases only offer organizations like Alliance Defending Freedom to go back to the Supreme Court for a victory for life. Leave pregnancy care centers alone. Don't undermine the intelligence of women. They know the difference between a pregnancy care center and an abortion factory like Planned Parenthood. Go ahead and pass this ordinance, but we'll enjoy another victory at the Supreme Court.
Julie?
Hi, Julie Thomas from Precinct 1. I just want to say that I can see there's a lot of conflict going on with this ordinance. And I'm very glad that you guys are going to be taking that back to discuss. I think that there is a way. I'm pro-life. I have volunteered, as I said before, at the Bethlehem House. I also see another side of what people are talking about. And I'm very glad you're going to go back and look at this again for clarity, to ensure that mothers have the option to seek help and support, like through Bethlehem House, and yet are not harmed. So you have a fine balance to make, and I trust that you'll be able to make that without harming what we have established in Easthampton, and yet preventing somebody from actually coming in here and doing what I really think you're trying to prevent, which is to give false information that would harm a mother who is expecting. So again, I'm glad that you're going back, and I'm glad that you're reviewing this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sheila Hickson. I'm a resident of Easthampton. My name is Sheila Hickson, and I'm a resident of Easthampton. And I just want to briefly speak because I'm not articulate like most people that have been here tonight. I only want to say that this ordinance is not about false advertisement. It is not. It is about life or death. And we have to remember that, ladies and gentlemen, as we look at this. Thank you for hearing me out.
I want to say thank you for everybody who participated tonight. I do hear everybody. Can you please mute yourself if you're participating remote? Thank you. This is democracy. Listen to people. We can spend hours here, and that will make me happy. I will never make a face to listen and listen and listen, because that's democracy. We are here, you. Again, I'm gonna repeat it. We're gonna send this back to a committee. You're gonna have the opportunity to be participating in the ordinance committee. They're gonna review this again. They're gonna discuss it, and then they're gonna bring it back. Now I'm gonna let any other counselor, if any counselor have anything to say before we move it to a committee. Well, I think we're gonna have plenty of time to discuss it one more time. Councilor Sarrett?
I think it's
Councilor
sure,
Sarrett?
absolutely. Yeah, I just wanted to reinforce a few things that were said tonight and some points that were made. This ordinance on its face and its intention is about consumer protection. It doesn't violate the First Amendment, and it doesn't compel speech, and this is why. You can go to Planned Parenthood, you can go to Tapestry, you can go to a CPC, such as the one from Springfield that was represented here tonight. you can go to Bethlehem House, although in my opinion, some of the people who spoke in favor of this ordinance tonight, I don't even think that Bethlehem House is a CPC, and I'll get to that in a second. This is about consumer protection. It's not about what happens when you get to the location, to the entity, to the service area, to Bethlehem House, to Planned Parenthood. It is about what occurs before that. And that is where the deceptive advertising piece comes in. It's about stating through printed ads, through Google searches, or Yahoo. I think someone here said something about Yahoo today, so I want to represent them as well. It's about suggesting that a service is performed that doesn't exist when you get there, or that they might perform it, but again, someone said something by omission, that it's implicit and not explicit that those services are performed. And when you arrive to the location expecting to receive information about those services, or potentially expect them to be performed, such as abortions, such as insertions of IUDs, such as pharmaceutical contraception, it's not there. And then instead, and here's unfortunately where the First Amendment comes in, you are fed information that might not be scientifically accurate, or that you weren't expecting to hear, or you were coerced into doing something. That's all protected. And through this ordinance and our intention, that is not what we're trying to do. We are not trying to coerce that speech. You can say whatever you want. You can talk about the potential medical implications of having abortions. You could talk about things like post-abortion syndrome. I think people spoke to the medical community's feeling about that tonight. So this is about not derailing people when they're looking for medical services. And yes, abortion is healthcare, as are many other healthcare services. Well, and that's where we get to this too, right? So this is about opinions. I've heard a lot of people here talking about religious opinions tonight. Those aren't necessarily the religious opinions of everyone in the city.
Life opinions.
They're not necessarily the opinions of everyone in this council. They are a very centered religious opinion. There are other religions that I actually didn't hear represented here today, Judaism, Islam, that believe differently about when life begins and ends and abortion. And I think that because we all have a right to choose and we do have freedom of religion, we also have a freedom of expressing that religion. Now, I want to just state a few other quick things. These ordinances have been upheld in San Francisco, New York City, Hartford, and Connecticut State. Someone mentioned earlier the Ninth Circuit of Appeals ruling on San Francisco that completely upheld their ordinance, which is almost to the letter what we're proposing here. In terms of compelling speech, the Second Circuit opinion in New York City struck down 2 of the 3 provisions of their ordinance, rightfully so, because they suggested that crisis pregnancy centers or limited service pregnancy centers should offer information or should offer referrals to centers that provide services that they don't. And you know what? That's the First Amendment. They don't have to do that. But what they do have to do in New York, which I agree with, is they have to advertise whether they actually provide real medical services. The New York Civil Liberties Union, the Connecticut Civil Liberties Union have both recognized the need for legislation such as this. The California Attorney General recently released a consumer alert on this issue. The New York Attorney General released similar alerts on Google algorithms and advertising. And our Massachusetts Attorney General, and I have information I could send to the council, just on June 29th also issued consumer advisory on this issue on the false advertising. Again, this is about advertising. It's not about the speech that occurs there. Now, I want to go back quickly to one of our Easthampton institutions, the Bethlehem House, because I'm really scratching my head here. I've heard a lot of the feedback, and I'm trying to figure out where this has come from, because I think we've made it very clear what this ordinance will and won't do. What it won't do is tell you what to do at the Bethlehem House. And frankly, once again, after hearing this time and time again, I've had a lot of discussions with residents and heard a lot about what the Bethlehem House does. It provides wonderful services for the people of Easthampton and beyond. It's clear about the services that are provided there. It's clear that it's a religiously affiliated organization that is pro-life. What it doesn't do it doesn't have advertisements on the internet or that you can get in the newspaper locally that claim to offer services that don't exist, right? So that's what this is about, deceptive advertising, not necessarily about deceptive speech. Deceptive advertising, consumer speech that's deceptive is not protected by the First Amendment, and that's what we're aiming to address here. I just wanted to say that, and I said it again, I've talked to a lot of people. The Bethlehem House sounds like it offers great services, and I encourage you to continue to do so. You will be in no way affected by this ordinance if it passes. That's pretty much it, and thank you everyone for participating. This is democracy. Thank you, Mr. President.
Excuse me. Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Councilor. Any other Councilor? Councilor Rist?
Sorry, forgot my name.
Can I speak? Can I just speak?
No. Can you please sit down?
What he said.
Can you please sit down?
Absolutely.
Can you please stop?
The law is wrong.
Councilor Rist?
Thank you, Judy. Obviously, a lot of emotion in the room. I only asked the Ordinance Committee to provide us with language in the new ordinance that is less ambiguous than the language we have now under the word deceptive. Ambiguity is something I've run into my entire life, especially when we started talking about our own Constitution, our charter. Ambiguity allows for interpretation, an interpretation which can be misused to attack good places like Bethlehem House or good places like Planned Parenthood. So you have to be very specific in what the word deceptive means, please. Secondly, enforcement of an ordinance, in my view, that is a local ordinance, has to have a local participating agency. I have heard that the health department is not necessarily in favor of being that agency because we're talking about fraud in advertising. So I ask you to please examine what that enforcement would be locally. If it involves the Attorney General's office, I question, and I'm not sure, whether we need an ordinance if only the Attorney General can enforce it. So I ask you to examine that. I don't know the answer. Lastly, I'm going to ask that we remove this from public hearing, not continue it, because I believe we've had a lot of back and forth with the city attorney. I think what's unfortunate this evening is people are quoting an ordinance that the language is going to change quite a bit. Am I correct there, Councilor Zaret? It's going to change. So in other words, let's get the ordinance back from the city attorney and from your committee before we put it back on the public hearing, please. Because people come and they need to know that we're still working on it. So when it comes back to the council, I ask that it be what we're actually going to vote on. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rest. Any other councilor want to add something? But I'm going to remind everybody, we're going to send this back to a committee, and I prefer to have that conversation at the committee level instead of having it here. I will take a motion to send this back to a committee.
Motion to refer back to the Ordinance Committee, Mr. President?
Second. We have a motion and a second to send this amend Chapter 6 by adding the new section 623 entitled Deceptive Advertising Practice of Limited Services Pregnant Center back to the Ordinance Committee. Any further discussion?
Just to clarify,
Councilor Rist?
this will remove it from the public hearing agenda because it's going
Yes,
back to committee.
we're gonna send it back to the committee and then we're gonna remove it. I know that. Yep.
Or we need another motion.
Yep. Barbara?
JP Kaczynski.
Why does this ordinance only include language?
Can you please be respectful to the council, please? Can you please be respectful?
The language
Can you please be?
sit down. Not just one side issue. So I
Officer, can you please remove her?
I don't need to be reserved. Removed. I know how to walk out. Thank you. Do it then.
No.
God bless you.
Officer, can you please remove her?
No, I suppose. Silence! Silence!
Please, just, we're all emotional, I get it, please.
If she can't speak, you can't. But should be equal, not just targeting CPC. How about targeting the other side? I will. You're welcome. God bless you all.
JP Kaczynski.
A point of information, Mr. President. You had said that you're suggesting the motion, I believe, on the floor is to send this back to committee.
That's correct, Councilor Krasinski.
My question is this being sent back to committee while maintaining itself on the agenda of the council as a public hearing or not?
No, Councilor Krasinski, then I will take a motion to remove it from, for the public hearing.
So I vote aye to send back to committee.
David Munier? Tom Peak?
I think he's gone.
Councilor Peak, are you here? No, he's not here.
Brad Riley?
Yes.
Dan Rist?
Yes.
Owen Zaret?
Aye.
Connie Denham? Aye. Salem gone too?
He's gone too, yeah.
Okay. Omar Gomez?
Aye. Motion passes. I will take a motion to remove this from the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to remove this. I'm sorry, before, anyway, let's keep going. To remove this from the public hearing. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara.
Dave Munier?
Yes.
Tom Peak? Oops, sorry.
Hi,
He's
Okay,
here now.
he's back.
Yes.
I'm here. I've been here for a while.
I'm sorry,
Hi, everyone.
Councilor, we didn't see you before.
Brad Riley?
Aye.
Dan Rist?
Aye.
Owen Zaret?
Yes.
Connie Denham? Aye. Omar Gomez?
Aye.
JP Kaczynski?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mr. President, motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Barbara?
Tom Peak?
Aye.
Brad Riley?
Aye.
Dan Rist?
Aye.
Owen Zaret?
Aye.
Connie Denham? Aye. Omar Gomez?
Aye.
JP Kaczynski?
Aye.
Dave Munier?
Motion passes. We're going to continue with the report of the Standing Committee, Public Safety, Councilor Saret.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had our quarterly review with the fire department at our last meeting. I'll just give a quick few bullet points. I know that there were a few counselors in attendance, but we have a few promotions in the fire department. We have a new deputy fire chief, Kevin Benson. Firefighter Dunham was promoted to captain. And we have two new firefighters, Tyler Colby and Nathan Cowan. And also last night, Paul Galati, who had the bravery to run into a burning building and rescue a person who was unable to ambulate on their own power, was also recognized yesterday. We reviewed a number of grants from the fire department for a bunch of items. I think the one that I would highlight the most is replacing our ancient brush truck. I believe that's close to $295,000 in grants that will be coming in. The fire department will be hosting a public fire department school in the fall, much like we went to as counselors. So I'm really happy, and they'll be doing some more public-facing promotion like that. They also mentioned things like fire extinguisher training and car seats. Recently, they came into possession of new grant-funded hoses and nozzles. I was fortunate to be at the fire station when those were being placed on, I think, engine 1 at the time, and I think also engine 2. So that's certainly, they are much more efficient and also lighter for our firefighters. We also reviewed call volume, which we discussed at last time. I can send the full quarterly report from the fire chief. Our next meeting is next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Room 1. That is the 12th. Items we'll be discussing there, we'll have the quarterly review from the police department, and we'll also have a representative here, a vendor for the electric speed monitoring signs. And I will be sending out communications that I received about the Ordinance Review Committee's final report. Again, the review of the South and Main Street traffic light, we need to wait till the fall to look at the traffic counts of the new schools, and also, again, the ongoing review of the safety, the sidewalk, and South Street and Main Street intersection. So on that note, I'm just looking at a few items here. I'd like to request a 90-day extension on the Ordinance Review Committee's final report.
You want to include consider the safety in South and Main Street?
I'm good, yeah, as well as that one too, yes. 90-day extensions for both, thank you. Let's get to it separately, it makes sense to do it together. Thank you, Mr. President. So I'll just, so 90-day extension, I'd like to make a motion, 90-day extension on the Ordinance Review Committee's final report and the request to review safety of the sidewalk on South Street and at the Main Street intersection.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to extend 90 days for the Ordinance Review Committee final report and the request to review safety of the sidewalk of the South Street and Main Street intersection. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zarrett.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Councilor Kuczynski? Thank you.
Dave Munier. Tom Peak.
Aye.
And
Motion passes.
lastly, sorry, Mr. President, just trying to be quick.
Go ahead.
And then quickly, just welcome our new member, Councilor Munier, and thus concludes.
Thank you, Councilor. Appointment, Councilor Riley?
Thank you, Mr. President. The last appointment committee meeting was on June 8th. We had before us Jessica Hebert for the Contributory Retirement Board and Anthony Corella for reappointment to the Licensing Board. Just to clarify, Jessica Hebert is the city treasurer, and it is customary to have the person who is in that position to also be a member of the Contributory Retirement Board. So this is just standard practice that we've done in the city. She's bright and articulate. She's a fantastic addition to the city. We didn't find any issues with having her move forward. Similarly, Anthony Corella had no other reasons that we would find to not put forward for appointment. The appointment committee voted 3-0 to approve both candidates. So in the form of a motion, I would like to appoint Jessica Hebert to the Contributory Retirement Board with a term expiration date of December 31st, 2025.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to accept the appointment of Jessica Hebert for the Retirement Board, expiration 12/31st, 2025. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zarrett.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Dave Munier.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Riley?
And then in a form of a motion to approve Anthony Corella for a reappointment to the Licensing Board with a term expiration date of June 5th, 2028.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the reappointment of Anthony Corella for the Licensing Board, expiration term 6/5/2028. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Owen Zarrett.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Dave Munier.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then currently there is no business before the appointment committee. When such information comes forward, we will schedule our new meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, but we're gonna do it then. Thank you, Councilor Riley. Before, can you please sit down? We have a lot of stuff to do on the business. Just leave it there. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ordinance, we don't have Councilor Derby. Councilor Peak, do you want to give us the report?
Sure. We have not met since our last meeting, so not much to report. We're still trying to figure out a time to meet with our building commissioner about the vacant storefront ordinance, and it looks like we'll be taking the matter we just discussed at length up again. So I assume sometime in the next few weeks we'll be meeting again, but there's nothing on the books right now. Thus concludes.
Thank you. I will take a motion to extend 90 days for the Ordinance Review Committee final report.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to extend it for 90 days, the Ordinance Review Committee final report. Any further discussion?
Actually, if I could, I should just say, as far as a discussion on that we actually have a lot finalized there that we were waiting for the new fiscal year, just so we could send it all to the solicitor. So that should be done pretty soon, but let's do 90 just to make it safe.
Thank you, Councilor Peak. Barbara?
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Dave Munier. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zarrett.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Councilor Peak.
Quick point of order, Mr. President.
Councilor Sarot?
Thank you. Agenda item under ordinance to amend Chapter 6, Section 623, that's going to expire before our next meeting.
That's correct.
I just wanted to, one day before.
You want to make the motion?
May I?
Yeah.
I would like to make a motion to grant a 90-day extension to that item to amend Chapter 6, adding section, as it reads here, 6-22, but 6-23, deceptive advertising practice limited in pregnancy centers. That's an informal motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to extend the 90 extension of 90 day for the amendment of Chapter 6. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
J.P. Kaczynski. He said aye. Dave Munier.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Councilor Sarah, for that. Property, Councilor Kosinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. The Property Committee met to discuss or rather receive the report from the Committee for Reuse of the School Buildings. The Council is in the process of doing its due diligence in the process to review the buildings. We would at this time like to invite all members of the public to attend a meeting at the schools scheduled currently for July 18th at 6 p.m. And I would ask that as many counselors as possible please do attend. This is an opportunity to see the buildings and is available for possible reuse and resale or leasing, or however we decide to dispose of the buildings in conjunction with the mayor. So this is not a place, time to do lots of discussion, but it will enable the folks to have put their eyeballs on. We do not anticipate doing anything but asking questions of anyone we hope to be there to tell us more about the actual condition of the building. So that being said, I would say that that is the major matter on our agenda at this time. We do have something else coming forward that we'll, I imagine we'll be discussing shortly. So this concludes, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Kosinski.
Quick question. Did he say a date for when we would be able to?
Yes, July 18th.
July 18th.
At 6 p.m.
Where?
Councilor Kosinski, where you want to start this site visit? Which school?
To start at the Pepin School, go to the Center School, and then proceed to the Maple Street School. That may be an ambitious plan, but I think we can get that done in the time frame.
Thank you, Councilor. Rules and Government Relationship, Councilor Rist.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We want to meet August 2nd at 5 p.m. We're going to talk about the conflict of interest exemption request, but Councilor Zaret, you have indicated to me privately that you won't be able to attend that meeting. So how urgent is the gun resolution? I mean, can we put that off until another meeting that you can attend?
Councilor Zaret.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm fine with that. I think that, unfortunately, and I was going to speak to this earlier, this is the case of Highland Park. This is an ongoing issue in our country. I'm fine on waiting till potentially September. I apologize I can't be here, but I need a break.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor.
Then we will meet on August 2nd and try to resolve the Conservation Commission chair issue, and thus concludes.
And that will be at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. in Conference Room 1.
Thank you, Councilor Rest. New business, Councilor Rest.
So we have a request for immediate consideration, a letter of support request to the Nonotuck Pool upgrades, ADA playground and ADA improvements, and the Reservation Road land grant conservation restriction. Is Jeff still on the call, Mr. President?
And I think we have Park and Rec Director John Mason, I think he is
okay
on the call. Mr. Mason, are you on the call? I know I saw him before.
Jeff is the one who did it before,
don't see City Planner back either. Yeah, John Mason's here. Gonzalo Peak?
I just want to say, while I was restarting my computer, I did notice a text from City Planner Bag saying that he had to jump off early, but I do think that the cover letters for both of those items are somewhat self-evident.
Yes, and I see, Park and Rec Director John Mason is on the call. I have the ability to unmute him, so. You want to talk about the letter?
I don't have it in front of me, but let me just say that the CPA committee had to also do a letter of support for both of these items.
Yep.
And it just is something the council is saying they will support it. You're not necessarily committing to a dollar amount this evening, but that you support the idea of supporting these two requests, the ADA playground and the pool on the Reservation Road land grant. By supporting these in principle, we have a better way of getting the grant. And I think the mayor wants to speak.
Yep. Thank you, Councilor, but I saw her.
Okay.
We have Mr. Mason on the call.
Oh.
Sorry about that. I was for some reason muting myself. I thought you guys were doing it, so I logged off and back on.
Mr. Mason, can you please tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. Right now, we're in the process of putting together, I'm sure everybody saw the packet of the design plans and the future projects that are going to happen, that we hope to happen at Nonotuck Park, including park improvements to the pool, ADA accessible playground, adding shade structures, redoing the pool surroundings, the equipment itself, adding pathways that connect to the playgrounds, into the ADA bathroom, rain garden, and other features that kind of check all the marks for state grants that and federal grants actually that we are looking into for this project. We have received letters of support from the CPA, the ADA Commission, and now we're looking for a letter of support from the City Council. We held an open house on Monday, June 27th, down in the park. We had over 30 residents come and look at the plans and discuss them and their thoughts. And it was overwhelming how many folks were there to support the idea of bringing a fresh look to the pool area and the project as a whole. Tonight is just about seeking a letter of support. There's a lot of moving parts, as you'd see in the cover letter. This is the first one is the park grant, which is $400,000. The deadline is next Thursday, the 14th, and one of the reasons I'm still in the office. So we have that hard deadline. Getting this is one of the last pieces of the puzzle. To get that to the state. And then the Land Water Trust Fund, which is a federal grant, is in February. We will be looking to apply for grant dollars towards this project as well, as you'll see in the packet. As we move forward on other pieces, this is a 5 to 6 year plan with different phases. We will be aggressive to look at grant funding for ADA and other such grants that come about that support these types of projects. So this pool upgrades has been identified in the open space and recreation plan. It's been identified more than a few times in that plan that was recently completed in 2021. It is also been identified in the city's community development plan strategy, which was done in 2019. So there's a lot of need and desire for pool upgrades for this project in the surrounding areas. We also, with the ADA piece, we feel that there's a need for that within the city as well. So that was added in there, in providing accessibility. We are very in tune of the funding sources, and so some of the features added check a lot of the boxes. Going over the statewide outdoor recreation plan that's on the mass.gov site, that we check off 3 of the 4 goals that the state has at the state level for outdoor recreation with this project. So it really fits in with state funding, state goals, the community's desires, and so that's where we're at. It's been a project that's been talked about. With the pandemic, it kind of got pushed back to the back burner, but we're on track, and we're on track for a submission a week from tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. I saw, Madam Mayor, do you want to add something before I let the councilors to ask some questions? Mayor? Do you want to add something?
No, I was going to speak to this matter for John. I would like to just clarify something for the council. A park grant is a unique grant that goes to Chapter 97 property, which is property that is designated or will be designated as a park. And that comes under the purview of Park and Rec and the Commission. In the past, when park grants have been utilized by planning, they need to do so with the okay of Park and Rec, and that the plans going forward now, identifying park grants, are going to the intended source, which is existing park grants. They're very important. I appreciate your consideration. John has worked very hard on this, and I'm wholeheartedly in support of it. So that's all I was going to say.
Thank you, Mayor. Any councilor have any questions? Councilor Sarrett?
Just a quick statement of support, Mr. President. I think that a swimming pool, a public swimming pool, is absolutely something that a city has to have, and especially with, I hate to say it, with global warming, we're getting hotter summers, and lots of people don't have access to cooling off stations and water recreation. So 1,000,000% support of that, as well as making our playgrounds more accessible. As someone who's supported a number of new projects, I've always said that we can't do that by deferring the maintenance of our existing infrastructure. So we can certainly do both. We can maintain what we have as well as build new things. That's a whole other discussion I could have with the park director. But I think this is great. Obviously, wholeheartedly support it.
Thank you, councilor. Any other councilor? Mr. Mason, I'm 100% support of this, but I think the public deserve some answers from the Park and Rec, and it's about, for the last couple years, we didn't have lifesavers for the pool. And can you please explain to the public one of the reasons why we're not having it? Especially probably we're going to invest a lot of money on it. And again, I'll support 100%, especially that this pool help with low-income people, the elderly, and the people they need the most, that they don't have the ability to install a pool in their house. Can you please explain why it's happening in our community?
Sure. And actually, there'll be another article coming out on the Gazette, because I did another interview regarding this today, because it is a topic for discussion all over Western Mass, the state, and nationwide. It's been a struggle, not only for us but all the other communities. At one point, Worcester was looking for 75 lifeguards. Springfield has only opened one of their 3 pools. Holyoke called me to say that they were in desperate need and weren't sure if they were opening up any pools or swimming areas. It's been, I've done research on this at nauseum, and a lot of it seems to be that a couple of reasons. First, a lifeguard, and for us especially, it's usually a 2-year cycle. If we can get a lifeguard for 2 years, that's a really good retention rate. It's not a career position. So during the pandemic, when lifeguard trainings were shut down for 2 years, it really put the entire industry in a hole, because you're not getting the folks for 10, 15, 20 years. You're getting them for 2, and if you're not getting new and refreshed lifeguards during that span, it really puts everybody in a hole. 2 years ago, we had 0 lifeguard applicants. This year we had 3. We scheduled interviews. We even rescheduled an interview, and not one lifeguard showed up. We did have a lifeguard after come into my office and say they were interested, and I took their information and said, you'll be my first call in January to get you on board for next year. So we did a training program where we offered reimbursements for anybody for new lifeguards through the schools. We advertised at UMass. We advertised through other colleges. We advertised through the local high schools. I was on TV on Western Mass News 40 trying to drum up lifeguards. It's definitely not for a lack of effort. We could talk about the pay structure, and with the state going to $24, $25, $26 an hour for lifeguards. That's tough for a small community, for sure, to try to match what the state has for backing.
Thank you. I will take a motion.
Can I ask the clerk, has a motion been prepared for this, or is it a general
No, we
motion?
don't have a
Okay.
I would just say to have the council president sign a letter of
Okay.
support.
I make a motion that the full council
Mr. President, I have a question for John, if I may, before a motion is made.
I'm sorry, Councilor Kosicki, that I didn't see you, but yes.
John, I am totally supportive of this. I wanted the lifeguards last year. I've called you and talked to you about this. Folks, we're about to set up to tons of money for upgrades and improvements, and yet I hear that we're not able to staff a building, the site, and there's really, what's the answer in sight for next year and the year after? If we're not able to get the ball rolling now. I'm concerned that we're going to go ahead and vote to spend this money without hearing what the plan is for the future.
Yeah, first, this is not spending of any money, it's for a letter of support. And secondly, I would ask the folks who said not to do anything at Whitebrook Middle School pool, and I think we're at the point where whether it's going to be put money into the pool or close it forever, because it's getting to that point one way or the other. So I think now is the time to make that decision. I know it's a big nugget. I saw the numbers first, so I understand that completely. But they're not going to get any. It's not going to get any cheaper, and now is the time to decide. And I do feel in talking with others in the industry that they were at rock bottom last year, and they saw movement towards getting some pools open, that lifeguards are coming back, that the trainings are available. We're going to be aggressive again next year, and pushing for lifeguards and doing what we have to. And we've had some side conversations about, what type of bonus structure or things that we could do to entice, lifeguards for our community. But it's this is the time where it's only going to get, either closed for good, or it's only going to be a much bigger price tag a few more years down the line. So we're
I just wanted to say that I'm supportive of this. I will vote in favor because I believe we can make the commitment that this is something we want to do, that we will do. But I would like to see, before we appropriate any specific monies, what to have a good plan in place and answers as to how the community can support and how the public can afford this usage that we all hope for, without having the prices be so exorbitant that folks don't either sign up, don't come, or just go elsewhere.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Adena?
Yeah, I just want to say that I also support this, and in part, you know, a big reason why I support this is in light of what has happened in Highland Park. I think that we, as a council, as a community, need to be very proactive in creating opportunities for young people. I think that the last 2 years has put a real strain on students' mental health, and we need to be very proactive. I don't want to use the word aggressive, but you know, we have to be very diligent in creating opportunities for young people to come together, to build relationships, and to help them to not fall into situations where they feel isolated, etc. And I think that Easthampton is a really mixed economic community, and I just want to make sure that everything that we do in regards to this and other opportunities remains affordable for young people and their families to be able to participate. And so I support this, and I just want to make sure that we are very proactive in creating and supporting similar initiatives to support young people.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other Councilor? Seeing none, Councilor Rest.
I make a motion that the full council approve a letter of support request for commitment to Nonotuck pool upgrades, ADA playground and ADA improvements, and the Reservation Road land grant for conservation restriction.
That's something different.
No.
Oh, it is?
This is something different.
My apologies. I make a motion that the full council approve a letter of support for the request of commitment to Nonotuck pool upgrades and ADA playground and ADA improvements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to the letter of support requested commitment to Nonotuck pool upgrades, ADA playground, and ADA improvements. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Connie Denham. Aye. Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Dave Munier.
Aye.
Tom Peak. Tom.
Councilor Peak?
Aye. Hello.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rest?
I have to make a separate motion?
Yes, for the Reservation Road, it's something different, yeah.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the council, it's a letter of support again.
No,
Well, you're approving a conservation restriction.
yeah.
Okay, I don't have the motion, I apologize in front of me.
It's,
Madam Mayor, do you want to talk about the Reservation Road land grant?
I got it, Dan.
You have a motion that I should read?
Yeah, we have a motion.
All right. I wasn't prepared, I apologize.
That's there.
All right.
Yes, so Reservation Road is a frequently informal entrance to Mount Tom and the parks. It's a road, when you go to the top, it's very unclear who owns or does not own it and who should care for it. What we do know is that there were 5 building lots that technically were viable, that the owners of that were looking to develop, and instead we worked with them to preserve the land, which is, as I said, the unofficial entrance to the parks and the trail system. It made sense to conserve the land and then focus on the East Street entrance, which is almost done. Again, this is protecting Mount Tom's view shed, which I would argue with many others is an economic resource for Easthampton, that the viewshed of Mount Tom is undisturbed. One for visual, but also environmental and public safety, as it's shale. And building on that part of the mountain could cause erosion, not only for that piece, but further down Reservation Road, as well as instability with the rock formations, similar to what we saw after the microburst.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to clarify why we're voting tonight. After having a conversation with City Planner Bag, the reason is that we're not sending it to a committee is because it's a deadline for this, and this is the only reason that we want to vote tonight. After my conversation with him, I was clear that this president doesn't like it when any department head or counselor presents something that we are not going to send it to a committee. I take our time to review it with more details. But based on this is really important for the community, I'm more than happy to vote tonight. But I'll make that statement clear to the department heads. Take a motion.
I move to approve that the City Council approve the foregoing conservation restriction from the City of Easthampton, acting by and through its Conservation Commission, to Kestrel Land Trust Incorporated, in the public interest pursuant to Section 32 of Chapter 184 of Massachusetts General Laws.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the Reservation Road Land Grant Conservation Restrictions. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara.
Omar Gomez.
Councilor Peak.
I'll make it quick. I just want to say, for those who weren't on the council last term, if you don't remember, this was actually a pretty big deal when those lots looked like they were going to get developed, and there was pretty overwhelming support for doing something like this. So it took a while, but I'm really glad to see that it all worked out.
Thank you, Councilor. Barbara?
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Dave Munier.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Aye.
Connie Denham. Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist.
I'd like to make a motion to send the poll location request for 277 Main Street for the Property Committee for review.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to send the poll location request to 77 Main Street to the Property Committee. We have any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Dave Munier. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Or, sorry, Owen Zaret, sorry.
I would say aye twice.
I know. Connie Denham. Aye. And Omar Gomez.
Motion passes.
Okay.
I apologize, I skipped over a very important interdepartmental transfer request. I just wanted to let the council know that Section 33B of Chapter 44 Municipal Finance allows the City Council by majority vote in the last 2 months of the fiscal year or during the first 15 days of the new fiscal year, which is what we're in, to vote these kinds of transfers which will eliminate deficits in the last fiscal year's budget. This is so that the books can be closed. So all of these transfers which we received can be voted on without being sent to committee, and kind of have to be done in order for our budget, our books to be accurate at the end of the year. So that's why we've gotten them, and we're allowed to do them. Anybody have any questions?
Any councilor have any questions? Councilor Sarat?
And this is basically what you just said, but just to clarify, this just creates a zero balance in accounts or line items that might be in budget and negative.
According to the purpose, it says to cover the end of year 2022 budget account deficit. So I assume that is correct. I mean, let me ask
Yeah,
Harold.
we have Harold here. Harold, you're still with us?
Yes. Yes.
Did you hear the question from Councilor Sarat?
Yes, I did. Majority of them are down to penny, and it will cover the expenses. But there are two specific where we left we put little extra money to make sure that we don't have any surprises at the end of the fiscal year. Once this is all taken, the actual amount hits the accounts by July 15th, whatever is the balance available in those accounts is going to close to free cash, which is the same way if it sits in the reserve fund, it's going to be closing to free cash. Does that answer?
That answer your question?
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make sure I understood for the public.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hado.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other councilor have any question? We'll take a motion.
I move the following interdepartmental transfer be approved by the full council. The amount requested is $159,678.70 to be transferred from the reserve fund, $159,678.70 to be transferred to the following accounts: legal, $10,000; computer salaries, $2,508.08; building inspector clerical, $2,572.74; DPW regular, $2,030.63; motor repair salary, $4,505.10; school Medicare tax, $29,961.78; city Medicare tax, $11,623.20; school 32B, $30,461.87; city chapter 32B, $40,668.21; city retiree, $25,347.09, for the following purpose: to cover end of year 2022 budget account deficits.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the appropriation of $159,678.70 from reserve funds. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Dave Munier,
Yep.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Aye.
Connie Denham, Omar Gomez,
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist?
I move that the city council clerk reappointment be sent to the appointments committee for review.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to send to the appointments committee the city council clerk reappointment. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Aye.
Connie Denham, Omar Gomez, JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Dave Munier.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist?
We have a request for the Votes Act requirement for the city council to detail police / constables at polling places. I move that it be sent to the Public Safety Committee for review.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to send the Vote Act requirement for the city council to detail police to the Public Safety Committee. Any further discussion? Councilor Sarat?
Just what's the time sensitivity? I just want to know if this is something we should discuss in our next meeting.
We have to do it before the
Okay.
next meeting.
We will discuss
Because the
before the August meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
August.
It has to be before by August because it takes effect in September.
We will discuss it at the next meeting.
Barbara?
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Aye.
Connie Denham, Omar Gomez, JP Kaczynski,
Yes.
Dave Munier,
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist?
Finally, I move that the request from the mayor to establish an ordinance, RE flags and banners on city flagpoles, etc., be moved to the Ordinance Committee for review.
Second.
We have motion and a second to send the request from the mayor to establish an ordinance to the Ordinance Committee. Any further discussion? Councilor Sarat?
Mr. President, just to be a small rule stickler, I just want to make a motion to also suspend Rule 5C, as we do not have a full we don't have written language, draft of language for this, and we do have a rule in this regard. So I have no problem with this moving forward, but I just think that we do have language in place that says that ordinances have to at least have a draft. I think we have some framework about this, but I just like to, make sure we follow the rules.
I prefer to remove the.
May I comment, Mr. President?
Councilor Rist?
Thank you for that, that's good. And the act of approving this motion actually does therefore suggest that we are avoiding Rule 5C. So I don't think we need two motions. We're just making this motion, recognizing that 5C is there, as you stated. It's just,
I prefer, if you, as a council president, I prefer to remove the.
I remove the motion.
Yeah, thank you. Who will second it? Who seconded?
You guys take it away.
Thank you, Councilor Sarat.
Yes, just in recognition of city council rules, I recommend, I make a motion to suspend Rule 5C for the purpose of referring this to committee.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rule. Any further discussion? No. Barbara?
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Omar Gomez. JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Dave Munier.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist?
I make a motion to send the request for the mayor to establish an ordinance, flags and banners on city flagpoles, etc., to the ordinance committee for review.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Dave Munier. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. And Barbara?
Connie Denham. Aye. Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Dave Munier. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Don't leave.
Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Welcome to the council, Dave.
Bye, Tom. Bye, JP. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody. Have a good evening.
Are we signing by document, by DocuSign, or are we doing that?
No, we're gonna do that one now.
Sign the,
Get a pen.
I will give you.
I will share mine.
Ask and ye shall
I will
receive.
share mine.
Wherever you
I need to stretch my legs.
Oh, my God.
The press is
Good
here.
meeting.
Thank you. I forgot about that.
Oh, I was just, yeah, I realized it like at the last minute. I would have called you. I wasn't sure to.
Oh, thank you for catching that. I'm so tired, and I thought of it, but I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I know, no problem. I guess we could have also amended the motion to include that, but yeah, no problem.
I could have done that, but I just,
I live up in the south of Main Street.
we could try.